Hello and welcome to part D of our Blender to Unity tower defense game tutorial, and in this part we will be modeling the missile launcher. Yes, that thing you see in front of you there is the textured and normal mapped version. Of course, we're going to keep it simple in this version, but I just wanted to show you that what we are creating will look a whole lot better once we've got to colour it. I'm not actually pleased with the blue that I created there. It seems a little bit too bold, maybe, and I think that those blacks that are meant to be the holders for the missiles are too black as well. Plus the fact that there's 8 of them, that bothers me a bit. Strikes me that it might be a bit overpowered, but hey, maybe we can work something out in the game so that it only fires out of one of them, a random one perhaps at any time. So with that, let's get started. So a couple of things I've been noticing. I manually installed the screencast add-on into Blender 2.76. So they deliberately removed it because it was not working properly. I have put it back on. Use at your risk. I couldn't see it failing on me. The thing I've probably noticed is if I did something, if I go into edit mode and do Control Tab and then press a number, it doesn't show you what I pressed or whatever. Okay, so that's one thing I noticed. But things like scale, look, and if I do AA, it seems to work. That's it, actually. AA. Yeah, you see things like that. Maybe it's getting that wrong because it's saying times 6. So possibly use or review at your own risk. Hopefully, it'll give you an idea of some of the buttons I'm pressing. Anyway, it certainly shows the mouse going in and out, scaling up, A again, stuff like that. So we should be in good shape. Okay, let's create that missile launcher turret. So what we'll do, by the way, if you haven't already, press Ctrl S and save it. Let's make sure we're saved up. Let's bring up our guide cube. Okay, that's interesting. Is that literally the size? Oh, look at that! That gun is just pointing outside the guide cube. That's good, isn't it? Z to go into wireframe mode. Let's hide the machine gun. Let's grab this block here, tab in. You may recall we did this. Alt, right click. You see that didn't show up on the screen, did it? I can just see that now. Just alt right click. You can just see I did the right click, but it's not showing on the screen. So maybe it's not that brilliant. And then Shift S, cursor to selected, and I'll put it in the middle. We can then do Shift A. No, tab out. Shift A, mesh, cube. Okay. Obviously too massive. Let's scale it in. Let's immediately name it missile launcher, and let's also begin the scaling process. We clearly need to scale it on the Z. Grab on the Z. Now we want it to be quite big. This thing's going to rotate, but it's not going to have anything poking out of it, so we can make it quite big. Scale, Shift Z. Let's make it chunky. I think we'll probably, when we take it to the game, we'll angle it like that a bit as well, but we won't do that now because it makes for weird texturing if we want to do symmetry and stuff. So I'll explain that a bit later on, but for now let's just keep it completely flat. We'll tweak its size in Unity. So let's scale this out some more. I don't want to make it the complete size of the thing. I think that might look a bit weird, but that's huge, isn't it? So let's hide the block, hide the guide block. Where are you, guide cube? There you are. And go back into solid view. Yeah, that's craziness. So let's just scale that in. And what do you think? Scale it on the X a bit, because it needs to be longer than it is. Right, and then scale on the Y a bit. Probably. No, I'm happy with the Z. Grab on the Z so that it shows there. Okay. You're thinking, well, it looks exactly like every other turret we've done so far, and it does. So let's start making it interesting. What I was doing with this was I grabbed the outside edges, just these ones, and beveled them. I'll tell you what. Let's quickly go to object mode. Let's have a quick look at the sizes of these things, because we could maybe do what we did last time and pick an X of 0.5. A Y of 0.6 and a Z of 0.25. How does that look? Looks a bit skinny now, doesn't it? So let's just change that. Let's make that 0.6. And with the Y, I'd like to make let's make the Y a little bit longer, 0.8. Yes. Oh no, 0.75 then. Sorry guys, you can tweak this to your liking. Yeah, 0.3. There. Let's go with that just for the fun of it. Control A, rotation and scale. You know I love that. tab back into edit mode and do Control B, and I just something like that. Let's have a quick look at our reference image. Yeah, I like the way that's looking. Again, you can see we'll add lots of kind of sort of rust and a sort of a dark feel around the edge there to make it look like it's worn. I think I like that. Maybe a touch more. Control B. Yeah. Okay. We likey. I think so. Right, now what I will do now is I will inset the front face so that we can put all those little missile launching pods, barrel things in. Control tab 3. Click on here. Press I. Is it going to be kind? It needs to be even across everywhere. Okay. Just going to do that again. Got into front view to do it. I think somewhere like that looks okay. Let's quick check our reference image. That's about right, isn't it? Okay, so and then we'll bring that in, extrude inwards. Again, far enough away. What I think I like to do is just scale this so that, because if you get a front view and tab, you can't even see it. But I know we're in orthographic, but let's just do this. Go into tab mode. Yeah, if we were running this in perspective view in Unity, which we probably will go orthographic in Unity. I'll explain why in many tutorials down the road. But anyway, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to scale it in just a nudge. And you'll see sometimes this does happen. It will scale in more than one side than the other, and it kind of makes sense because one is is wider than the other, so it's scaling the edges in. I'm not going to explain this terribly, aren't I? Let's just grab these edges here and these edges here. One, and then just scale on the Z and just going to pull them in. Okay, and there we've got ourselves a sort of yeah, I like that. I'm not sure what to do with the back. I wasn't sure what to do last time, whether we needed anything. Let's tackle that in a little while. For now, let's get on with creating those little missile launching pods. Or should we unwrap this first? Let's unwrap this first, shall we? This should be quite straightforward. We can very quickly add a few seams here, mark seam, and probably if we just add one there and there, Control E, mark seam. Then we've got this all the way around. In fact, yes, let's do that. Let's go there, Control E, mark seam, and then we can mark a couple of seams at the bottom. Again, you might want to delete that face if you're not interested in ever seeing the underside. Let's go to UV Image Editor, tab out, Control A, rotation to scale, tab back in, unwrap. Quick look at the stretch. There should be 0 stretch based on the way I've just done this. I'm curious what this is. But if you press F, it fills the screen. What are these guys? Why is that? Is that the inside edge? That's probably the inside edge, isn't it? Which is why they're at a funky angle, because we scaled it in. But look, this is what we can probably do is just do L there, grab that, pop that inside. Look, you see. That's giving us a bit more room to work with, which might be useful when we come to add the little pods, which will go in this here as well. So let's do that now. To do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make heavy use of the array modifier and the mirror modifier. So I'm just going to tab out. In fact, what I will do is I'll just Control R. Oh, you monkey. That's because I've done that face there. Okay, let's not do Control R. Let's simply select this face and do Control Tab 3, Shift S, cursor to selected. Then we will tab out, Shift A, mesh, cylinder, and again I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something like 12 sides, and I'm going to rotate X 90, scale down. That's very. I did not. Is it still there? It is. I should bring this up, shouldn't I? There you go, event tweak L. Okay, S. Okay, and this is where we're going to start to. Let's just grab that on the Y, pull it in, grab on the Z, scale again. We're going to make these too high, so and then grab on the X. You can see that this needs to come over. Okay. Yeah, so let's keep going. I'm not completely happy with this yet. We can make it a bit bigger. And we'll also make it a bit longer. Tab into edit mode, Control Tab 2, GY. Doesn't have to be all the way out. Let's just make absolutely sure GY that's behind. And also while we're here, let's delete that face. I'll catch us out, it's completely unnecessary. We need one at the front. Okay, and here we go in the usual pipeline. I will make the faces smooth, click over to Object Data, Auto Smooth, and then Control Tab 2, grab that edge there and mark it as sharp. That gives us our basic turret shape. Yes, and then if I tab into edit mode, there and there, Control E, mark seam, and let's unwrap it. This should look fine. Yes, it does unwrap absolutely perfectly. You know, this is going to be quite a small piece of the missile launcher turret itself, so we don't need to worry too much about. So it's obviously not going to be anywhere near that big when we've merged it with the main launcher turret block. But what we want to do is create a few more of them, and rather than just Shift D and duplicate them, what I will do is I will create an array modifier, two array modifiers actually. One is this. Let's do that so we can see it, and then we'll just move it along until we're happy. Okay, this is a little bit of guesswork, because what I'm going to do. Let me do this as well now, so we can. I'm going to add a mirror modifier, but the mirror is going to be against the missile launcher on the X. I don't know why that's not. It is showing. It's just not showing very clearly. Probably got to do that. There we go. Right, now we can start playing with this and just. Am I going to object mode and just actually? So let's get rid of the UV screen and let's just grab that on the X and just pull it in so they're equally spaced apart there. And I'm going to make this 1.5 then. How does that look? That looks fine to me. Yeah, I'd be tempted to make them a bit bigger. Scale Shift Y. But now how does that look on the... Yeah, you see we need to move it on the X a bit and then lower that to say 1.4. Something like that looks rather good to me. I think probably better than the previous version. And we're going to have one more array modifier. Yes, we are. And it's going to be... where's the one that says 1.4? That's the one we've edited, so it must be this array modifier down here on the right. And we don't want it on the X anymore, so we'll zero that. And we'll put it on the Y. And you look like you need to be rotation and scaled. Yes, and already I can see it needs to be -1. Point something. Well, let's try -1.1. -1.1. Just to get us started, and then we might just grab this on the Z to pull that up. You can see where I'm going with this, right? And the reason I'm going down using arrays and what have you is it makes it easier to edit and just kind of get the right angles and not have to do them one by one. And also, of course, it keeps the same texture space, okay, rather than creating different ones and then unwrapping them in one go. There, I like that, and I know what you're thinking. This again, we could do the have 2 I and then E like so. We could do that. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Okay, because it's going to take up too many verts. Remember, this thing's going to be, we're going to be quite a way away from this most of the time, and we can create a little normal to make it look like it's got a bit of an indent and perhaps colour it in a different colour. Right, I think I'm happy with this. I'm happy. I need to be happy. Let's just save it before I'm before I go applying all these modifiers. Double check it from the side, have a look around. Yeah, okay, so let's just apply this fella. Let's go back into the UV editor here. Before we do that, let's just tab that out. That's it, and we'll just pin that. Just grab it and move it down there. Okay, and now let's apply it. The reason I pinned it was so that when we unwrap everything on this, it won't suddenly just do individual entries because we're applying them. Okay. And now if I click, so that's selected. We don't need to worry what it's called, cylinder, but that's fine because we're just about to join it with the missile launcher turret. So let's press Control J, and then you'll see the first problem is that it's gone a bit wonky, and that's probably because the missile launcher did not have auto smooth on, but it has now. Great, and now if we do A, U, unwrap, life is a good place. Let's quickly get stretch back on. We're not expecting any stretch. We know that we can just, if we just click one edge and then just press L, then grab it, we know we can move that in there. Okay. This is huge compared to the other piece. I'm not going to worry about averaging island scale here. I'm very pleased with the Blender's done this unwrap actually. I'm just going to scale it in a touch, just and grab it, scale it in a bit more, just so that there's some space. That's interesting. That seems to have gone over the edge, but that's okay. So L, G, Y. I like to create just a little bit of gaps between this stuff. I don't know that it's absolutely necessary actually. G, X, yeah, and then L that, G, Y, bring that up, and then A, C. If I do that and do Control L, that'll select all of them, G, Y. Okay, there's a bit of gappage. Gappage, is that even a word? Gappage? There's some gappage there between the UV islands. And let's just grab that lot, scale that right down, and just grab it. This is actually going to be proportionately quite large. So let's scale it out nice and big. I mean, so you can see that this is taking up as much. If I just shift space back out again, you can see this is taking up as much texture space as the back plate, which you might argue is unnecessary. But I don't think we're going to be able to get the improve the size of this. Really, what's this piece here? Is that the top piece? This is still very well proportioned. We've got plenty to work with. So if I just do Control L. Remember, we have to do Control L because if we just do L on this and I grab it, you'll see that it's left the other 7 missile UV areas, islands. So we just do, let's just A, B, and then Control L to grab all of them. Oh, that's annoying, isn't it? I was thinking that might fit in there, which means I'd like to keep the barrel scale consistent, so these ones and these ones consistent. So let's select there and then just do Control L, scale it in a bit, grab that. Oh, that annoys me a bit, but there we go. Grab that and pull that in. Okay, like I say, we can make these bigger. Clearly we can make these bigger. We can make the back bigger. We can't make the top plate bigger. That's the bottom plate, isn't it? We could make that smaller, and that would give us the ability to scale everything else up. Shall we? I'm not going to. Let's see how this all textures out. You know, like what I was saying earlier on, if I just shift space back out, this one here, this underside here, is unused. So, unseen, excuse me. So you may think that if we just, and that's this piece here, I can just double check that. 3, Control Tab, 3, and then click that. Yeah, it's that piece there. So if you deleted that, you could make everything a lot bigger. And I am tempted, very tempted as I speak to you right now. I'm thinking that maybe I should be doing that, but I'm not going to do it because I'm a purist, I guess, and I want to see everything in the object. And, you know, it might come and bite me later on if I ever have to export this to another game or something, which I won't. But let's just assume that I will. Right, so we're done. This is a completed missile launcher turret. Let's save our file, and in the next one we'll work on the rather exciting laser gun turret. We're going to maybe mix up the way this is going to look. We might use a different stand, or tweak the stand, or we may just keep the existing stand and add a laser gun on top of it. So I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe. I love comments. I'm really happy to try and respond to all of them. So let me know. Hope all's well, and catch you next time. Thank you.